Good morning, I'm Wendy Burke, and this is the CBC Morning Report from Monday, December 6th. Today will be the start of the new entry requirement for travelers to the United States to have a negative COVID-19 test not older than 24 hours. Today alone, there will be several flights to the United States, and to help us understand this new requirement from the CDC and to discuss its bearing on Barbados and the Caribbean is Public Affairs Officer with the U.S. Embassy for Barbados at the Eastern Caribbean and the OECS, Larry Soka. Good morning to you, Larry.
Good morning, Wendy. How are you?
I'm well, and here's hoping you are too.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, now let's look at it straight out. Is the new variant the sole reason behind these new requirements, or was the U.S. looking to step up its border security against COVID from before?
I think the top priority since the start of the pandemic has been keeping people safe and protecting individuals, both Americans and international travelers, safe from this virus. And so that's what these new regulations are intended to do. So that starting today, air travelers ages 2 and older, regardless of nationality or vaccination status, are required to show documentation of a negative test result taken within 1 day of the flight's departure to the United States. So this can be an antigen test, this can be a PCR test, and it's 1 day before. So if your flight takes off this afternoon for Miami at 4:30, that doesn't mean you have to test after 4:30 yesterday. Any time yesterday would have been acceptable. So this applies to U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents, and foreign nationals. And the requirement that foreign national air travelers be vaccinated to travel to the United States still stands. So that's important to keep in mind as well.
Okay, now you're saying it doesn't matter if it's 4:30 and they do it at that time, but how are we going to account for delays? We're coming into the winter season. There are blizzards that come. I mean, Hawaii had one that wasn't expected. So what? Yeah, no, seriously, what are we putting in place in the event that somebody has those flight delays, but that the test was indeed valid within the time frame?
Sure, of course. I don't think we need to be worried about blizzards in Miami anytime soon. As we saw yesterday, we now have United flights coming from the United States, direct from Washington, D.C. and New York City. And that's where a challenge of a blizzard is perhaps more appropriate. But the CDC has taken a look at this, and if the flight is delayed less than 24 hours, then individuals do not need to test again. So if I'm to fly this afternoon to the United States and that flight is delayed until tomorrow, within 24 hours of that original departure time, no new test is required. However, if the departure is more than 24 hours, then yes, a new test would be required.
Okay, now the embassy has been giving us lots of help in terms of assisting our local health system with PPE, vaccines, and a number of other supplies. Now, can we expect in terms of this testing and the ramping up of it, that there might be some technical support coming to assist us in ensuring that we can meet this 24-hour rule?
Well, the United States has stood with Barbados since the very start of this pandemic, as you mentioned, with support through PPE, through vaccines, through technical exchange and training. And it's something that we'll continue to do. I mean, the fact that Barbados has received over 140,000 Pfizer vaccines bilaterally from the United States, in addition to the support that we've provided to access to the AstraZeneca vaccine through COVAX, the United States and Barbados are working together like never before to keep people safe. And so we'll continue to focus on that, and we'll make sure that the strong ties, including travel between this incredible island and the United States, stay strong.
Now, do you anticipate any fallout as a result of the new rule in terms of individuals canceling either their vacations or their business trips because of this 24-hour rule and may not necessarily be in the mood, to be running around and getting tested?
Well, it depends what direction we're talking about. To my knowledge, Barbados hasn't updated its travel protocols to arrive here to Barbados. So I don't think in the near term we're going to see any changes in terms of folks coming here to Barbados to enjoy the sand, the sun, the culture, the incredible offers on this island. But going the other way to the United States, I mean, these tests are so widely available now. I mean, you can get an antigen test at the airport, at Grantley Adams. There's one I know up here where I live near Warren's. There's a site directly across the street from cost you less. So I think these tests are widely available. Again, it's not the PCR test is not the only test that's accepted. A rapid antigen test that can turn around results within 15 minutes. Those are also accepted for travel to the United States and accepted to meet this new one-day requirement.
Now, are there any exceptions whatsoever to this rule?
Of course, there are always exceptions. And in this case, though, those exceptions are very, very limited. Both the exceptions to the rule that foreign national air travelers be vaccinated, and now this one-day testing rule. And those really apply to a very few number of cases where travel is imminent and it's for humanitarian reasons. So we can all classify emergencies in different ways, but the fact is the individuals who would qualify for an emergency or that would be approved by the CDC for travel, taking into account this emergency, it's a very small group of people. So the two things really to focus on here are, first, to get vaccinated. It's incredibly important. And vaccines acceptable for travel to the United States by foreign nationals include Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, all of those vaccines that are FDA approved or on the emergency use list by the World Health Organization. Those are all acceptable. So that's the first thing to focus on, is getting vaccinated. And the second thing to focus on is now meeting this one-day requirement, and those tests are available across the island.
Okay, now we're talking about testing from international routes into the U.S. Do you expect to see this same protocol being extended to those traveling nationally within the U.S.?
I can't comment on domestic travel in the United States. Obviously, there are some things that are the same across travel, whether international or domestic. For example, the necessity for wearing masks on the airplane to keep yourself and other individuals on the plane safe. But at this time, I'll continue to look toward the CDC and other medical experts and the recommendations they make to continue to fight this virus and to keep Americans and all people safe.
Okay, I want to thank you so much for your time, Larry, and I'm sure you'll keep us updated on any changes that will be coming that impacts on Barbados and the Caribbean.
Absolutely. Get vaccinated, get boosted, and then get tested and enjoy your trip.
Thank you so much, Larry. That's Larry Soka, the Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy here in Barbados. You're on Morning Report. When we come back, we will update you on what's happening locally with the COVID-19 pandemic. Barbados' COVID-19 death toll has risen by 3. On Saturday, a 57-year-old man and a 74-year-old woman passed away at the Harrison's Point Isolation Facility. They were both unvaccinated. Additionally, another unvaccinated person, a 48-year-old woman, died yesterday morning at the Harrison's Point Isolation Facility. The COVID-19 death toll now stands at 238. The Besto Santos Public Health Laboratory recorded 131 new cases of COVID-19 on Saturday, December 4th. There were 1,158 tests conducted. Of the new cases, 29 people were under the age of 18. The number of people in isolation facilities was 314 and in home isolation 2,126. And under the National Vaccination Program for COVID-19, the total number of people who are fully vaccinated is 138,096. Belgian police fired water cannons yesterday to disperse protesters opposed to compulsory health measures against the coronavirus pandemic. Some 8,000 people marched through Brussels toward the headquarters of the European Union, chanting freedom and letting off fireworks.
A standoff in the Belgian capital on the sidelines of a COVID-19 protest. Police used water cannon against a group of protesters, some of whom appeared to throw fireworks. People marched through the streets 2 days after the government tightened restrictions for the third week in a row. Some carried signs critical of vaccines which have proved to be highly effective against the coronavirus. Others were worried about Belgium making it compulsory for health workers to be vaccinated, something that's coming in on the 1st of January.
I don't agree with mandatory vaccination for nurses.
I think every person has the choice to take a vaccine. That's his own choice, and that's freedom, in my opinion.
Health workers will have 3 months to get their shots. They can work during that time if they can show they've already had COVID-19 or provide negative tests. Hospital admissions have risen by 4% week on week, but the government says 40% of Belgium's intensive care beds are currently filled by COVID-19 patients, and that's having an impact on things like cancer treatment. Kindergartens and primary schools will now close a week early for Christmas, and pupils aged 6 or over have to wear face masks. Indoor venues such as cinemas will be limited to 200 people from Monday. Nightclubs have already been closed, and bars and restaurants have to shut at 11 p.m. for 3 weeks.
Now to preview what's coming up on Morning Barbados, we say welcome to Pearson Robinson Bowen.
Like Crusoe, huh? Well, good morning to you, Wendy. I have names for you, by the way. I had Regina, Roselle, and Roniqua. Which one do you want?
I can't spell the last one, so let's take one of the other two.
All right, I'll give you Roniqua. So Wendy Roniqua Burke this morning, good morning to you. I here's hoping you had a wonderful weekend. And I must tell you, coming up this morning at 6:30, we will be looking at the Cuba-CARICOM Day, which on Wednesday will be marking its 49th anniversary, quite a significant milestone back then, significant even today. And so Cuba's ambassador to Barbados, His Excellency Pastrana, will be joining us to talk a little bit more about that in our conversations on CARICOM. You know, there's been a lot of talk on reparations. Well, the Global African Congress will join their voice to that conversation with us this morning right here on Morning Barbados. And we'll be introducing you to another gift option this holiday season, World of Words. It's a locally produced game, won the National Innovation Award in 2012, and so the man who created the game will join us this morning to share it with you. And a whole lot more when you join me at 6:30 this morning. Back to you, Roniqua.
Why, thank you, Robinson. It's now time for another break, and we'll return with more news. Barbadians are now paying more for petroleum products effective midnight last night. The retail price of gasoline, diesel, kerosene, and liquefied petroleum gas has increased in keeping with the landed price for these products on the international market. Gasoline is now being sold at $3.99 a liter. The price of diesel is $3.40 a liter, while kerosene is now retailed at $1.55. These represent increases of 4 cents, 12 cents, and 12 cents respectively. The adjusted price of the LPG 100-pound cylinder is now $173.60. The 25-pound cylinder, $48.50. The 22-pound cylinder, $42.84, and the 20-pound cylinder, $38.95. Police from District A Station responded to a collision with injuries which occurred about 3:10 p.m. yesterday at the junction of Station Hill Road, Bridge Road, and Hinesbury Road in the parish of St. Michael. Involved were 2 motorcars and a fire tender. The fire tender, which was responding to an emergency call, was traveling from Bridge Road towards Bank Hall, whilst 1 motorcar was traveling from Station Hill towards Hinesbury Road and the other in the opposite direction when they became involved in the collision. The driver of 1 car complained of bruises to her right knee, right side, and right arm. She, along with 2 juveniles who complained of pain to their hips, were treated at the scene by ambulance personnel. Meanwhile, the driver of the other car was taken away to the QEH for medical attention as she complained of pain to her head, neck, and back. Both motorcars were extensively damaged, whilst the fire tender received moderate damage. Police investigations are ongoing. 2 inaugural flights from the United States of America landed at the Grantley Adams International Airport yesterday, signaling what tourism officials say is a turning point for the industry as Barbados seeks to target travelers from new demographics. CBC's Aaliyah Briggs was at the Grantley Adams Airport and filed this report.
The winter tourism season is in full swing, and Barbados is tapping into new air travel routes in the American market, with the addition of 2 new gateways from Newark, New Jersey and Dulles, Washington. Inaugural United Airlines Flight 388 from Newark, New Jersey landed at the Grantley Adams Airport just before 1 on Sunday, carrying approximately 60 passengers. Minister of Tourism and International Transport Senator Lisa Cummings says this is an exciting time for tourism in Barbados.
This is an exciting time for the season. It is a fragile industry. We are hopeful about the prospects for recovery. This is the first of 2 inaugural flights for United Airlines that will commence today. This one flew in today from Newark. The second flight will come in later on during the course of the day. That will come in from Dulles. And we're quite happy to have these new gateways opening up, bringing new passengers, new traffic to Barbados from the United States.
Minister Cummings says the BTMI is actively targeting the U.S. market to fill more seats.
She has a capacity to carry 180 odd passengers, so I'm confident that the Barbados tourism team will be continuing to have aggressive marketing in the U.S. market behind the gateways to make sure that we fill these seats. Most of our seats coming in out of our traditional and pre-existing gateways are flying full. As you know, it's very difficult to get a seat to Barbados, especially coming out of the United States. And so we expect that in the course of the coming days and weeks that we will see an aggressive push to fill all of the seats on our new flights coming out of Newark.
United Airlines Flight 390 from Dulles, Washington made its way down the runway less than 2 hours later. The passengers and cabin crew were met with a warm Bajan welcome with performances by the Haynesville Youth Club. On board this flight, Barbados' ambassador to the USA and the OAS, Noel Lynch.
This initiative actually started when I first went to Washington in 2018 to ensure that we get more airlift out of the gateways that really make a difference, with demographic and psychographics that really suit Barbados. Washington, D.C. is one such place. You've got the D.C., you've got Maryland, you've got the Virginia area. But apart from that, you've got the whole caption of the legislators live there. There's a great collection of wealth. 2 of the wealthiest zip codes in the United States are actually in Maryland, in the Chevy Chase area. And therefore, it's important that we appeal to these people.
The United Airlines flight from New York will operate twice weekly, Wednesdays and Sundays, while the Dulles will be on Sundays only. Aaliyah Briggs, CBC News.
Health officials in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are closely monitoring the current situation of hand, foot and mouth disease following increased reports of cases across the country. Hand, foot and mouth disease is a common viral illness among children under 5 years old, but it can also occur in adults. The disease is caused by a group of viruses known as enterovirus. The virus can spread from person to person through close contact, such as hugging, and infected individuals' coughs and sneezes. It can also be transmitted through contact with feces, such as changing diapers of an infected person or touching contaminated surfaces like doorknobs, then touching your eyes, nose, or mouth before washing your hands. The death toll following the eruption of the highest volcano on Indonesia's most densely populated island of Java has risen to 13. With 7 people still missing, as smoldering debris and thick mud hampered search efforts. Mount Semeru spewed thick columns of ash more than 12,000 meters into the sky, as several villages were blanketed with falling ash.
Assessing the damage from above after Mount Semeru spewed piles of ash 12,000 meters into the sky. Down below, entire homes have been submerged, villages blanketed with falling ash. The creeping lava is destroying everything in its path. Semeru is one of Indonesia's nearly 130 active volcanoes and is the highest peak on the nation's most densely populated island of Java. The sudden eruption was triggered by days of heavy rain.
Everyone was scared and running in panic because this eruption was much bigger than the eruption that occurred last year.
Smoldering debris, thick smoke, and power outages have hampered search and rescue operations. Evacuation efforts have been suspended for now, with the clouds surrounding the affected area remaining too hot to handle. People who managed to escape have been staying at this evacuation center.
The people behind me are evacuated local villagers. At the moment, they need assistance like daily necessities, food and drinks. We also don't know how long they need to stay here for.
Those who want to return home have been told they can't, and to stay far away from the crater's mouth. The volcano had seen an increase in activity in recent days, but its alert status was not raised. Now, many here want to know why they weren't warned.
Why they are caught by surprise? What went wrong? Is somebody sleeping on the job, or our way of communicating the danger is not sufficient?
An answer many will be seeking as they pick up the pieces of what is left behind.
In sports, the Belgian Gems national netball team ended their tour of Scotland yesterday with a win over the Isle of Man. The Gems controlled the entire game, leading all quarters at 19-9, 37-16, 49-30, before closing out the victory 65-40. With a report on the game is correspondent Ken Morbino.
Barbados' netballers turned around 3 losses to Scotland with an impressive 65-40 defeat of the Isle of Man Rams at the Emirates Arena in Glasgow. Sure shot Shanika Wharton led the attack, scoring 39 goals from 45 attempts. Captain Latonya Blackman was perfect, sinking all 23 of her shots, while brief shooting stints saw Brianna Holder scoring 2 from 2 and Faye Agard making 1 from 2. Wharton was so outstanding, particularly in sinking a dozen gems from just inside the arc, that when she took a sit down in the fourth quarter, the modest crowd applauded her loudly. At the end of the court, goalkeeper Shawnette Azor Bruce unnoticeably achieved her 100th test cap. She played a power game in intimidating and rejecting numerous attacks from the Rams. Even so, the shooting perfection of Blackman and mid-court excellence from centre Stephian Shepherd, plus good outputs from goal attack Brianna Holder and goal defense Rashida Chase, stunned the Rams. The Gems led 19-9, 37-16, 49-30 to cruise to victory after a slew of changes due to minor scrapes and cuts in the third quarter saw the Rams outscoring the Belgians 14-12. Ironically, the opponent's sole lead in the match occurred at 1-love when successive turnovers gifted that opportunity to the Rams. While the turnovers denied Barbados a larger scoreline, the defense of Azor Bruce, shooting mastery of Blackman and Wharton, with great support by an outstanding Shepherd, Holder, and Rashida Chase in midcourt, ensured that the Isle could not get within range. The versatile Blackman opened up and gutted the Rams before experience and courtcraft, putting on a netball tutorial, particularly in the second quarter when the Rams scored 3 successive points to move from 31-54 to 34-54. With Barbados holding the ball, the heavily marked Blackman dragged the entire defense to the left side of the court, leaving Wharton free to collect the pass from Shepherd and hit nothing but net. The next play from Barbados' center pass saw Blackman giving a no-look pass for Wharton to burn the net again. With the game all but won, court time was given to newcomers Dave Padmore and Akina Stout, who would relish the victory in their debut test for Barbados. Chloe Swales led the response for the Rams, scoring 17 goals from 28 shots. Alice Bridson sank 15 of 24, while Alice Cross added 8 of 11. Reporting on Barbados' Netball Tour of Scotland, Ken Morbino for CBC Sports.
Well, it's time now to take a look at the weather picture. In Barbados right now, the temperature is 26.2 degrees Celsius and it's fair. However, it feels like 28 degrees Celsius. The humidity stands at 89% and the barometric pressure 1012.4 millibars. The winds are coming from the east at 26 kilometers per hour. Low tide will be at 10:45 a.m. and another low tide at 11:53 p.m. High tide will be at 4:59 p.m. The seas are moderate in open water with swells ranging from 2 to 2.5 meters and increasing. It will be partly sunny with a few brief isolated light showers, mainly during the early morning today. Tonight is expected to be partly cloudy with a few brief isolated light showers. Here's now a look at our international cities. That's it for the morning report. You can join us again at Newsday at noon. We now turn you over to Pearson Bowen for Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning to you indeed, and welcome to a marvelous Monday morning for today, the 6th of December 2021. Where am I going with the time? 9 is in my head because there are 19 days still until Christmas Day for those of you keeping track, and for those of you still busy about trying to get all of your little knick-knacks together, 19 more days until Christmas. I'm Pearson Bowen. Thank you so much for joining us here in Barbados on your TV screens, and for those of you across the world watching us on our YouTube channel and our Facebook streams as well, good morning to you indeed. Welcome. Congratulations, by the way, to all of those parish ambassadors who recently participated in the Spirit of the Nation show and all that the Community Independence Celebration Secretariat had on stream, and they did well. I think for those of you who watched it, you felt the pride watching our young people be their best selves on screen. So, when the night was done, congratulations to the parish ambassadors for the parish of St. Lucie. That's right. St. Lucie, well done. Well done, being the most outstanding parish ambassadors for the year 2021. There they are with the attendant of the year, Pedro Cumberbatch, as well, in the midst. And so congratulations indeed to all. St. Lucie was hopping on Saturday night, and really congratulations indeed to all of you parish ambassadors as well. Well done. This morning on Morning Barbados, we will get to meet the man behind the book Life Anthonyology. That's a tongue twister in itself. The Most Honourable Anthony Carter will join us this morning as he shares with us his book of poetry. So look out for that. It's also going to be a wonderful Christmas stopper as well. Also this morning, we'll hear the story from the great-great-great-granddaughter of the wife of that man, Sam Lord. She'll be joining us. She's written a book called Lucy. And she'll talk to us about the life and exploits of her great-great-great-grandmother. It's going to be an interesting read. It's an interesting story to tell. And this morning we'll meet again Renique Kimisha King. She's going to be talking about a new program that she has on to empower more young people. It is also a very one that we can laud right here on Morning Barbados. But let's get started this morning. It's the 49th anniversary of the Cuba-CARICOM agreement, that summit. And so we're marking Cuba-CARICOM Day on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. Joining us in our conversation on CARICOM to talk a little bit more about what that all means is Cuba's ambassador to Barbados, His Excellency Sergio Pastrana. Good morning to you, Ambassador.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Bowen. Thank you so much for inviting me to share with Barbados some ideas on the Cuba-CARICOM Day and what it means to all of us.
Thank you. Now, it was December the 8th, 1972, when it happened. It all happened. That's when Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados and Jamaica all joined together to stand up to the United States and say, no, 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 we will not allow you to do this to our Caribbean neighbors in Cuba. A significant event, a significant milestone. What is its significance from your perspective?
Well, first of all, we must understand that the links between Cuba and the Caribbean nations that became independent for years and years, last for centuries, and we come from the same cradle of the domination of colonialism, and we have the same history. We share the same origins. We share the same destinies, and there was an artificial division at some point, and it was the first movement throughout the Americas in which a group of countries which have just recently come into independence decided to restart their links in a diplomatic fashion with Cuba, with a sister nation that has shared all this history together. If we come to Cuba in our roots, we have the incoming groups of inhabitants of all these islands that came into our blood as well. We share the same tradition on how we became independent from a joke, and we share the same destinies for small island states within a group of a part of the world that shares a group of nations that are very similar in their ambience, in their lives, in the way they behave. So this was the way in which 4 small countries in the Caribbean that had become independent some years before decided to take the step and renew the links in a diplomatic fashion and have brought the open ability to share more fully in our common struggles for development. I think that is the big significance of that date. Mm-hmm. But most of all, that gave us Cubans the ability to share whatever we had been achieving in development with our friends and family in the Caribbean.
And there are so many ways in which we've benefited from that relationship. You know, we have Cuban nurses operating in Barbados. Barbados cannot wait for the release of the vaccine now that we're in the midst of this pandemic. But there's so many other ways in which we relate. Can you talk to us about what having a diplomatic mission in respective countries mean, and how have we all benefited from each other's cooperation?
Well, essentially, I think the most important thing is that we share our common heritage and we share our common interest and our common desires for development and our common struggles to develop in a world that is very difficult and in terms of economic development for small island states and for countries that have suffered for years and years exploitations economically and physically by metropolis from abroad. And in that sense, I think that we have been able to share, as you said, efforts that have carried the development of medical treatments, studies, etc., but also in other fields like sports, in other fields like the production of agriculture, sugar, etc. In this field of agriculture is especially important and comes to be relevant, very much relevant now with the start of the world crisis out of this pandemic that we all have suffered, in which, of course, food will become a staple that will increase in value, etc., and we have to provide more locally, both in our islands, for our population. But let me talk about also medicine, and in this regard, I would like to point out the development of the vaccines, as you mentioned, in Cuba against COVID. And as of now, of the 5 candidates that we have in the pipeline for the production of these vaccines, we have 3 that have been fully approved in Cuba and have been applied widely to our population. And that comprises more than 80% of the whole population that has had at least 1 dose. And that will eventually come to the realization that before the end of the year, we hope to have vaccinated the whole of the Cuban population that is able to get the vaccines. And that means starting from 2 years old to the elderly people.
Yes.
That will cover all children from 2 to 18 and the rest of the population that can be vaccinated due to, possibilities for allergies or whatever that impedes the full vaccination of everyone. But because of that, we have had a dramatic decrease in the cases that we are facing of COVID in the island. The worst months were July, August, and September in terms of the Delta variant in the island. And at some point we were having something like 10,000 new cases daily. And that was a very high figure. But now, by the last week, we have had the oscillation of cases around 100 cases island-wide.
Wow.
And new cases daily, and diseases, the deaths have diminished enormously.
That's a dramatic turnaround. And clearly it again speaks to the abilities of Cubans to be able to control yourselves and to be able to order your society. Now, we've had decades of mystique and perhaps misinterpretation of Cuba society and what Cuba stands for. And I know the last time we were together, we were talking about deconstructing what people think of Cuba. What do you think we still need to do so that people see Cuba for who you are and the value that you bring and lend to CARICOM in particular, that we need to do so that we can begin to change people's perceptions?
Well, I would recommend first, in that exercise that you recommend of deconstructing the myths about Cuba that exist worldwide, I would rely mostly on data, because normally the vision that is spread about Cuba comes out of propaganda that turns around the real realizations of the Cuban society. If you go to statistics, if you go to the Human Development Index of the United Nations, if you go to levels of education, health, levels of literacy, you name it, you can realize that Cuba is recognized worldwide to be a country in which people's basic human rights to life and development are guaranteed for all, not for some who can achieve that through their family history or their heritage. No, everything is guaranteed for all of the population, like vaccines, you've just heard, like treatments in hospitals. And that has been achieved under a constant economic war of over 60 years by the most powerful country in the world that have established an enormous amount of measures to curtail the development and the access of Cuba to international trade, commerce, relations, you name it. It's a constant chase. And I must stress today that the most significant element of this Cuba-CARICOM day is that this was the first time that this blockade started to crumble down. This was the first notch that was made in this horrible enclosure of Cuba that was established since the 1960s. And I must say that Barbados has been constantly supporting the lift of this inhuman, unjust, and illegal set of measures that have no place in the regular conduct of countries in international relations these days. And Barbados and CARICOM have been spearheading this effort to finally do away with such an outdated state of relations in international affairs in this hemisphere.
And so
we must recognize that this year we're entering the 50th anniversary of our diplomatic relations, and we're going to celebrate this in an important way in order to remember all that we have been able to accomplish in the past and look forward to all that we can do in the future.
Clearly, a conversation to be continued as we continue to turn that tide in how we relate and to stand up still as a people of the Caribbean in support of our brothers and sisters there in Cuba. Thank you so much, Ambassador Pastrana, for joining us this morning on our Conversations on CARICOM, and we can't wait to celebrate still that 50th anniversary of CARICOM Cuba Day. Thank you. All the best.
Thanks to you. Thanks to you. Good morning, Barbados.
You're very welcome. You're welcome indeed. Morning Barbados will continue right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So we're 14 and a half minutes now to go to 7 o'clock. The Global African Congress is an international umbrella organization created by and for Africans. And so this morning, joining us to talk a little bit more about its work and its focus going forward would be the chairman, Shakaya Thomas, and Chevy Eugene, who's the leader of the Youth Arm. Good morning, both of you.
Good morning, Barbados. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very well today. How do you do?
Good, thank you.
Good, well done. Now, let's talk about the global...
Good morning, Barbados, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome, gentlemen. Let's talk a little bit about the Global African Congress, why you exist, what is your mantra, what are you hoping to achieve?
Well, before I get into the history of the Global African Congress, let me say congratulations to and recognize the CARICOM Cuban Day as a very important milestone in Caribbean history. It's an indication of the bold leadership led by our then Prime Minister, which essentially was absent from the Caribbean, and we see it re-emerging in the Caribbean. That was a bold and a good step to break the isolation of Cuba from the United States, and for the Caribbean not to be part of that Cold War access. So we want to say congratulations to the previous leader and happy Cuba-CARICOM Day. So the Global African Congress came out of the United Nations World Conference Against Racism that was held in 2001 in Durban, South Africa. Prior to the conference, a whole host of African and African descendant organizations from across the world gathered to ensure that we get reparation and decolonization on the agenda of the United Nations. As you know, European and North American countries insist that reparation should not be part of the agenda. And so for that reason, the African and African Descendant Caucus formed in response to lobbying that process. It was a major milestone, a major achievement, getting to the United Nations Conference. Not only did the NGO work with a whole host of government, including the Barbadian government, that did a tremendous job in ensuring that the kind of language we wanted to recognize that the transatlantic slave trade was a crime against humanity. So we achieved that. But after that success, we decided that it would be unpardonable for us to just go our separate ways and didn't continue to work. So in 2002, we had a meeting in Barbados in which we looked at reparation from our vantage point, where the Global African Congress was formed. And here we are 20 years after, planning another conference in Barbados.
So your name is Global African Congress.
Yes,
so it
that's
suggests to me that you're made up of a number of countries. How large is this Global Congress?
Well, it's global. In 2002, we had representation from South America, Latin America, continental Africa, Europe, and North America. So it was global in scope and continue to be. It's building an international organization, as you know, it's no small task.
Exactly.
But we did what we have to do. Given the limitation of resources, we continue to mobilize, we stayed in touch, we continue to push the common interest, the common agenda as it relates to reparation. And as you could see, we have made some gains. We have the CARICOM Reparation Commission. We have the Center for Research and Development. We continue to build the institution. And we're happy to be part of that process.
Chevy, what about you? Because you're now the youth leader, you're the leader of the youth arm. Getting young people on board and getting them and raising their awareness really about why it's so critical for them as people of African descent also to join in this fight and this call for reparations. How has that been for you and what's been the response?
As you know, young people make up over 50% of the Caribbean population, right? So what we're in the process of doing is actually developing a youth-led reparations, youth-led arts reparations project. And the idea is for young people across the region to be mentored by such people like Sakaya, folks like Professor Vernon Shepherd, to understand the history of reparation. And the idea is to bring young people's creative imagination with the history and the understanding of reparation to go back into their respective communities across the region to help in the politicizing and mobilizing of young people about reparation. Because what we have seen so far, there's a lot of misunderstanding exactly on what is reparation and what does that mean. So right now we're trying to push an education campaign with young people and to have an intergenerational conversation. So for me, what I've been is more using the medium of young people, social media. How do we engage them about reparation? So even, for example, talking about the 10-point platform, CARICOM 10-point platform, and what does that mean? So just basically getting the grounding of what reparation means. And through that, we have the intergenerational conversation. And the third aspect is through young people and the creative media is how do we get the everyday Caribbean society to understand and to be part of the process. So right now, we're just trying to cultivate and mobilize and get young people together from an educational point of view and then push it to their respective communities. And for me, that's been an amazing experience so far. Just hearing Takaya giving the history of how the Global African Congress started. 20 years ago, I was living in St. Lucia. That's not something I was aware of. And now to be part of that process is a very fulfilling feeling.
Getting people of the region to understand the African culture and why it means a lot to stand up as Africans and be accounted for as Africans takes a lot of work, because the perception often is Africans are either Rastafarians, and we can go to all of the other things that we have as perceptions of Africa. How do we turn that perception around, and what is the message so that people understand when we say Global African Congress is nothing to be ashamed of?
I could start off by saying that the Barbados Task Force on Reparation report, which I've read, it's a magnificent report. It's a report that dealt with some of those fundamental issues. And yeah, it dealt with those issues. It looked at the whole question of decolonization of our educational system, decolonization of our healthcare system. Look at the myth that was created to justify enslavement, to justify colonization. And yes, so Africa was demonized, was seen as this nothing good Africa, nothing good about Africans. And I must say, we have not yet reached the final destination, but certainly we have made some tremendous strides in various countries through arts, through culture, through literature, through the work. We have two magnificent pieces of work insofar as that is concerned. In Hilary Beckel's books, Britain, Black Debt, and Barbados, the First Slave Society. For example, Barbados, the First Slave Society explained to us, or give us the analysis, the evidence to show scientific racism was developed, how scientific racism was used to justify enslavement, how is it was institutionalized and used to miseducate, keep a subservient state of mind. So having that kind of work, that kind of research, goes a long way towards the decolonization of the mind, as Bob Marley talks about the decolonization of the mind. So the decolonization is taking place through arts, through culture, through educational system, and in many ways, you know, the gains that we have made in the Caribbean, sometimes many of us think, well, you know, we need to go as faster, we need to do better. But in many ways, a tremendous amount of gains, given where we are coming from, the experience, the historical experience we have had. And reparation is obviously one of the vehicles, one of the methods by which we must continue to push the agenda for complete emancipation and complete liberation.
Speaking of which, Barbados just recently transitioned into a parliamentary republic. How do you see that impacting the work of the Global African Congress and now the call by other CARICOM states to themselves consider becoming republics?
Oh, that's a magnificent achievement. And I must say congratulations to your political leadership and the citizens of Barbados from coast to coast. That's a huge magnificent step where no doubt we see Barbados as a pace setter in the Caribbean at the moment, not just in terms of the completion of the process of liberation, but in many other areas. But having a republic is a giant step towards the further development of democracy, for the further development of our region, development of the Caribbean civilization. And as I'm sure you know that in other countries right now, there's a tremendous amount of discussion going on. When are you going to do? When are we going to complete the process and follow what Barbados have done? And that's a brilliant step. That's a magnificent step.
All right, Chevy, what do you think still needs to be done so that we generate the interest by young people to join the cause?
Thank you for that question. For me, And to build on your previous question, well, the one before the one you asked Sakaya, I think when you look at the political climate right now, globally, with the death of George Floyd, what we saw is a global consciousness rising among young people. Young people are starting to ask questions, not just about their society and knowing more about themselves, right? So it's like, how do we build from that energy? How do we build from that energy where the young people are using social media to hold governments accountable? So, for example, with the transition that just took place towards the Republic, just paying attention to social media, young people across the world are talking about those things. What does it mean? How do we move forward from that? So building from that energy and connecting it to reparation, because we could put that in conversation with reparation. So the idea is to tap into that energy and to get young people, reach out to them through the arts, to cultural expression,
Right.
to literature, like Sakaya mentioned, and help them bring, like I said, going back to the creative imagination and think of ways to move forward. So we tap into that energy, that global energy of the consciousness raising that's happening in society right now, and we put it in conversation with reparation.
All right. We got to leave it there. Clearly, it's something that we're all excited about, the work of the Global African Congress. Thank you so much for joining us. Sakaya Thomas was the chairman, and you, Chevy Eugene, leader of the youth as well. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and best of luck with your work going forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. You're welcome. Morning Barbados takes a break here. When we come back, we're going to give, a chance for you to win.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The head of our news, we're calling somebody right now. Calling you right now. Answer your phone correctly. And you can be a winner right now in our Christmas promotion. So get ready to hear that phone ring. When you hear it, answer it. Tell me when you guys have the call on so we can hear how that person answers, of course. You had a chance to win with us here at CBC this Christmas. So let's see. We're dialing away. Nope. Listen, if you're giving us a cell phone number, we're calling you from a landline. So top up or turn it on. But come on, don't send us a cell phone number and then you can't respond to your cell phone from a landline. We will be calling you from a landline. So let's see if we get the other person, another person. I hear dial tone. As we dial away, answer your phone correctly. It's going to ring in a moment. Let's see. Has it gone through yet? Okay, it's ringing. Let's see. Shh. 2 rings. 3 rings. Answer the phone. 4 rings. Answer your phone. Sorry. Nope. Don't want to talk to the voicemail box. Don't want to talk to the voicemail box. Come on. We have 1 more to go. 1 more to go. You guys are squandering opportunities to win something fantastic. So let's see if we get this other person. We're dialing away. Answer your phone. What was the first thing out of your mouth? Hello? What was the first thing out of your mouth when you picked up the phone? Listen to me. You start with what you're going to give me for Christmas, and then you can tell me good morning here. But you're absolutely right. What's your first name? Hello, Suzanne. What parish are you in? You're in St. Michael's. Listen, y'all, St. Michael people are something else. But Suzanne, you're absolutely right. By answering your phone, what are you going to give me for Christmas? I don't have the information in front of me, so tell me please in my ear, folks. What did Suzanne win this morning? Suzanne, listen, Suzanne, are you a meat eater? What about pork? You like pork? Are you serious? Suzanne, you're getting 1 proper pork, help me, package, compliments Emerald City, Carlton and Emerald City supermarkets. You're getting us a proper pork, Suzanne. Congratulations. You're very welcome. Someone from our marketing team will be contacting you to make arrangements for you to collect your voucher to head off to get your proper pork, all right? Oh, you live nearby. Fantastic. Thank you so much for watching and thank you for playing with us. Thank you so much, Suzanne. You're very welcome. You do too. Thank you so much. It's now 2.5 minutes after 7 o'clock. I think I've spent enough time. Let's take in the news now. Here is Wendy Burke.
Good morning to you. Barbados' COVID-19 death toll has risen by 3. On Saturday, a 57-year-old man and a 74-year-old woman passed away at the Harrison's Point isolation facility. They were both unvaccinated. Additionally, another unvaccinated person, a 48-year-old woman, died yesterday morning at the Harrison's Point isolation facility. The COVID-19 death toll now stands at 238. Barbadians are now paying more for petroleum products effective midnight last night. The retail price of gasoline, diesel, kerosene, and liquefied petroleum gas has increased in keeping with the landed price for these products on the international market. Gasoline is now being sold at $3.99 a liter. The price of diesel is $3.40 a liter, while kerosene is now retailed at $1.55. These represent increases of 4 cents, 12 cents, and 12 cents respectively. The adjusted price of the LPG 100-pound cylinder is now $173.60. The 25-pound, $48.50. The 22, $42.84, and the 20-pound, $38.95. 2 inaugural flights from the United States of America landed at the Grantley Adams International Airport yesterday, signaling what tourism officials say is a turning point for the industry as Barbados seeks to target travelers from new demographics. CBC's Aaliyah Briggs was at the Grantley Adams International Airport and filed this report.
The winter tourism season is in full swing, and Barbados is tapping into new air travel routes in the American market, with the addition of 2 new gateways from Newark, New Jersey and Dulles, Washington. Inaugural United Airlines Flight 388 from Newark, New Jersey landed at the Grantley Adams Airport just before 1 on Sunday, carrying approximately 60 passengers. Minister of Tourism and International Transport Senator Lisa Cummings says this is an exciting time for tourism in Barbados.
This is an exciting time for the season. It is a fragile industry. We are hopeful about the prospects for recovery. This is the first of 2 inaugural flights for United Airlines that will commence today. This one flew in today from Newark. The second flight will come in later on during the course of the day. That will come in from Dulles. And we're quite happy to have these new gateways opening up, bringing new passengers, new traffic to Barbados from the United States.
The new travel rule for entry into the U.S. comes into force from today. All those looking to enter must have a test done 24 hours before the flight. Larry Soka, the Public Affairs Officer with the United States Embassy in Barbados, explained the protocol and the contingency should there be flight delays.
Starting today, air travelers ages 2 and older, regardless of nationality or vaccination status, are required to show documentation of a negative test result taken within 1 day of the flight's departure to the United States. So this can be an antigen test, this can be a PCR test, and it's 1 day before. So if your flight takes off this afternoon for Miami at 4:30, that doesn't mean you have to test after 4:30 yesterday. Any time yesterday would have been acceptable. So this applies to U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents, and foreign nationals. And the requirement that foreign national air travelers be vaccinated to travel to the United States still stands. So that's important to keep in mind as well. As we saw yesterday, we now have United flights coming from the United States direct from Washington, D.C. and New York City. And that's where a challenge of a blizzard is perhaps more appropriate. But the CDC has taken a look at this. And if the flight is delayed less than 24 hours, then individuals do not need to test again. So if I'm to fly this afternoon to the United States and that flight is delayed until tomorrow, within 24 hours of that original departure time, no new test is required. However, if the departure is more than 24 hours, then yes, a new test would be required.
Police from District A Station responded to a collision with injuries which occurred about 3:10 p.m. yesterday at the junction of Station Hill Road, Bridge Road and Hinesbury Road in the parish of St. Michael. Involved were 2 motor cars and a fire tender. The fire tender, which was responding to an emergency call, was traveling from Bridge Road towards Bank Hall, whilst 1 motor car was traveling from Station Hill towards Hinesbury Road and the other in the opposite direction when they became involved in the collision. The driver of 1 car complained of bruises to her right knee, right side and right arm. She, along with 2 juveniles who complained of pain to their hips, were treated at the scene by ambulance personnel. Meanwhile, the driver of the other car was taken away to the QEH for medical attention as she complained of pain to her head, neck and back. Both motor vehicles were extensively damaged, whilst the fire tender received moderate damage. Police investigations are ongoing. Well, that's a wrap here for news. I'm Wendy Burke. I now turn you back over to Pearson Boone and Morning Barbados.
Thank you, Wendy. We're 8 minutes after 7. We're taking that break again, and we're back with our Crumbs question of the day right after.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So it's 10 minutes after 7 o'clock now. Time for today's Crumbs question of the day. That question is back. Thanks to Crumbs Bakery. Here comes today's Crumbs question of the day. You'll call me on 228-5562 or 228-5563. That question again. How many flavors chicken wings does crispy fried chicken carry? How many flavors of chicken wings does crispy fried chicken carry? How many flavors of chicken wings does crispy fried chicken carry? I hope you've done your research. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Let's see if you get it right today and win with Crumbs Bakery and Crispy's Fried Chicken. So how many flavors of chicken wings does Crispy's Fried Chicken carry? 228-5562 or 228-5563. You can be a winner today. Remember, there's a Crumbs Bakery very near to you. There are several across the island, but there are only a few Crispy's Fried Chicken. And I hope that you found a chance so far to go into any of those branches that exist so far and see what's on the menu, sample for yourself, and then you know better. So let's see, 228-5562 or 228-5563. Good morning to you. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, what parish you watching us from?
St. Michael.
And what's your first name?
Angela.
Angela. What's your answer for me?
2.
And is that your final answer, Angela?
Yes, sir.
It is not right, Angela.
All right.
Thank you here. Thank you for calling from St. Michael indeed. So, how many flavors of chicken wings does crispy fried chicken carry? 228-5562 or 63. Good morning. Hello.
Peace be unto you and yours, Mr. Dapper. It is Cajun, honey, and hot and spicy.
That was not my question. My question is how many flavors of chicken wings does crispy fried chicken carry?
They are not the flavors.
I asked you how many.
So I say 3. They're wrong.
I don't know what was your answer?
Cajun, honey, and hot and spicy.
So how many are those?
3.
Then tell me 3.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you know what?
I asked you how many. Many is a
teacher.
number. I'm looking for a
teacher.
number as an answer, but you're right in saying 3.
All right. Season's greetings to you, my dear.
Thank you, and you too, Gail. She's absolutely right. And it's honey, hot and spicy, and Cajun.
Yes.
Absolutely right, Gail. You stay on the phone. We'll take some more details from you by correctly answering our crumbs question of the day today. In saying to us, there are three flavors of chicken wings at Crispy's Fried Chicken. There is the honey flavor, the hot and spicy flavor, and the Cajun flavor. So head to Crispy's Fried Chicken today and ask for any or all or each of them today and enjoy. We're going to take that break right here, and we're coming back with more on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
15 minutes after 7 o'clock now. Now, Andy Gibb had a song called Words. It's only words, and words are all I have. And so it would be ironic indeed that Dr. Harold Gibbs himself was the creator of the play World of Words. It is a board game. And so he joins us now along with Ryan Nurse, who's a Senior Business Development Officer with the BIDC Export Barbados. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. World of Words. This one, Dr. Gibbs, talk to me a little bit about the board game World of Words, how you created, because you won the Innovation Award in 2012 and now it's been produced and we can all get to play the game. So explain the game for us. You're muted for us, Dr. Gibbs. Let's see if we can get you now.
Hello?
Right, go ahead. Now you're explaining to me the game.
I must say that the game was created out of observation and observation. which is that I realize that more and more young people are either using words incorrectly or spelling them wrong, incorrectly really. So I decided that I would develop this game in an effort to encourage young people to use the dictionary more frequently. The world of words as it is created by using prefixes and suffixes, joining prefixes and suffixes together to form larger words. The game it is played as a board game. The suffixes, well, you know, suffix is the last word. If you join the two words together, the first word is a prefix, the second word is a suffix. The prefixes are joined from the top or the left-hand side of the existing word, whereas the suffixes are joined at the right hand or the bottom of the existing word on the board. The board is designed using 8 lead words, which are spaced in order to give the board game better flow.
Right.
Therefore, let's start again. The board game, the suffixes really, the suffixes and prefixes, they can be joined vertically or horizontally.
Now we know the game. We know the game Scrabble. We get Scrabble. We get it. I think by now everybody understands. Is it played similarly?
It plays similar to Scrabble, but it is a little more difficult than Scrabble in that you're joining words other than letters.
Yes.
Scrabble, you join letters together. In the world of words, you join words together to form larger words. For instance, small words like into, in would be the prefix, and to would be the suffix. Or today, to would be the prefix, and they would be the suffix.
Right. So you're joining words and not just letters. So that's the difference with how it's played. But basically, the layout is relatively similar. How many players? How many players can actually engage in a single board game at a time?
From 2 players to say 6 players. The optimal player is like 3 players per game.
And
which makes the game flow better. It's a better flow if you have
more than 2.
3 players.
Right, I get you. And so what ages would be appropriate for this game, Word of Worlds? World of Words.
8 and up.
From 8 and up. All right, great. And it's good to play with the dictionary by your side?
It is very difficult to play without the dictionary. The objective of the game is to encourage people to use the dictionary.
Yes.
Because what I realize is that if you play the game without the dictionary, you realize that you continue to form words that you are familiar with. Whereas when you use the dictionary, you actually find different words that you're not accustomed to in it. In other words, what I'm saying is that you and I know that when we go to the dictionary to look for a word, we find ourselves rambling through the dictionary because the meaning of the word, we have about 3 different words that we encounter as the meaning of this word that we are looking for. Some of the words, we don't know the meaning, so therefore we have to ramble through the dictionary in order to find the meaning of those words. So in other words, what I'm saying is that in playing with the dictionary, you actually start to like read the dictionary as such. It's an exercise in reading the dictionary rather than just playing for enjoyment.
I got you. Ryan, now you're with the BIDC Export Barbados. Here it is. He won his Innovation Award in 2012, and now we've come to market. And so, being innovative, how can the BIDC Export Barbados assist anyone who has these novel ideas, and how can they do it? How could you provide benefit to them?
Thank you, Pearson, and morning to everyone else again. Now, basically, our role as the government's business development arm is to assist businesses, assist people who started businesses in being able to move that idea into something that you can touch, something real, something you can see on the shelf. So we help you with the idea. We also assist in physically getting that product or service into the market. So when you go visit your family in wherever in North America, in Europe, wherever, and you see a Barbadian product on the shelf, chances are we were able to facilitate that. So we would do things such as ensure your labeling is correct. We would do things such as ensuring that there's someone out there who will get the product on the shelf. We would help you in all those areas. So that's our job, to make it happen.
And it's as simple as a phone call to you guys to say, I have this, which I'd like to get over there, and you take it from there?
Person, you will be surprised. It's as simple as a phone call. Your tax dollars at work. So what happens is, now we will meet with you once you are committed to the process. We can meet with you. We can then assist you in moving your concept, your idea, that thing you dreamt about last night. We can move that to something you can touch, something tangible, and it's as simple as a phone call.
Now here it is, Dr. Gibbs has been able now to move his idea into reality, and it's a board game available to all. It's called World of Words. There are other people with all sorts of novel ideas as well, and so they want to get their product out. Do you see birthed in all of us, really birthed in all of us here in Barbados, this ingenuity that we're looking for, this creativity that we're all seeking to export?
Now, some years ago, I remember someone came up with a device. It really was a long spring, and you would put it on, let's say, a step, and it would just walk down the step. And when I first saw that, I said, oh, that's crazy. That's not going to sell any money. I said to myself. Then I read further, and I realized that the man made lots and lots of money. So it really is a case of, you come up with the idea. If the market loves it, market is going to buy it. We're good to go.
And just contact the BIDC
yes,
Export Barbados.
As long as you have the idea and you're willing to take that step, yes, we can have a discussion about how we can help you in making that a reality.
This is fantastic. So, Dr. Gibbs, the board game is now available, World of Words. And it's available for those 8 years and up. More than 2 players, it's even more interesting. Where can we get copies of this now? Is it already on the market here in Barbados?
Yes, with the advent of the pandemic, it creates a problem in marketing, retail marketing. So we have to find ingenious ways of marketing this game. There'll be salespersons going around, like in malls, etc., trying to get the game sold. We're trying to retail it in bookshops, etc. And we're retailing it at a modest price of $70. But in keeping with the 55th anniversary of our independence, we say that we'll be giving a special of $55 during this season. So it probably is better to see if you can purchase one during this particular season.
You get it at the discounted figure. Can we also call you to see if we get one picked up?
Yes, my contact number is 247-8931.
247-8931.
8931.
Got you. 247-8931.
You can even call Ryan Nurse, Mr. Nurse.
You just put you on the spot, Ryan. You're also a salesman this morning. Ryan Nurse at the BIDC Export Barbados. Call there and speak with Ryan Nurse to see if you get yourself one of these boxes. It sounds like a really good game. It's not light, so it has some weight in it, so it's meaty when you enjoy the World of Words. And you know, if you know Scrabble well, then you know how this game is played. But you're playing not with just simply letters, you're playing with words. And so that's the fundamental difference. It's going to be fun. It's a great Christmas gift to yourself, or maybe to your family or friends. And it's done by a Barbadian. Dr. Gibbs, Dr. Harold Gibbs. I want to thank both of you gentlemen. I wish you only the very best with the marketing and promotion of this. Dr. Harold Gibbs, the designer of the board game, World of Words,
Thanks.
and Ryan Nurse, Senior Business Development Officer with Sport Barbados BIDC. Thank you so much. Just folks, give him a call, 247-8931. All the best.
Thanks a lot, Pearson.
Okay. All right. Morning Barbados continues right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
When we first met our next guest, she had written her book, Journey to 30, The Naked Truth, I Am You. And so she's now transitioned into doing so much more. Kimisha King joins us now as she launches her new program, Live Your Truth. Good morning to you, Kimisha.
Morning. How are you, Pearson?
I'm well today. How are you doing?
I am doing well.
Congratulations on all you've been able to do. I just saw recently that you had a presentation to your alma mater. You've done such wonderful work so far.
Yes, indeed. That really warmed my heart because it's all a part of my vision and stuff that I wanted to do. So to be able to have the Sandy Lane Charitable Trust, to support me and partner with me in giving back to my alma mater, that meant so much, and to also see what's about to take place after those students get the opportunity to read the book, because I know they're going to be blessed by everything that's in that book.
So this program, Live Your Truth. What do you mean when you call it that?
So live your truth, because it's tied to the but yet again. Because I've found that, growing up a lot of times, we always, not even just growing up, just in life, most times, that's the average individual trying to be someone they're not. We're always wearing masks and we're not really our authentic, unique selves. And that's what the program is about, teaching them, okay, this is where you are now, but this is not where you have to stay. There's a purpose in you. There's something that God has planted in you. And with this program, I'm going to teach you how to thrive in spite of circumstances. For example, COVID gave us a curveball. So many things change, but that doesn't mean that because things are not what we consider to be normal, that somehow for you can't accomplish the same goals that you would have wanted to when you would have first started off.
You're targeting teenagers, particularly those 14 to 18 years old, a turbulent time. And obviously there's a very clinical decision that you've taken. Why that particular cohort of people, 14 to 18?
Because I was there, and it's only because I was in the right environment that my whole mindset and everything changed. Because most of the times when you are mixed with, if you're not in the right environment or if you're not associating with the right people, you don't get that pull or that push so that you can actually grow and expand and reach more. And it started with my alma mater, because what they teach there is about you excelling. It's all about you gaining more and really diving into what you have been designed and called to do. So with doing this particular area of dealing with those types of students, you have a lot of students right there know that they're battling with things like peer pressure. They're battling with they want to blend in with this whole social media thing, you know. They see a lot of stuff on social media and they want to be like those particular people without understanding that the gram is only painting pictures, you know,
Yes.
Facebook and all the other places, they're just painting pictures. We're not getting to see what's really happening behind the scenes. And most time we think that, you know, that, oh my, I can't achieve this or this can't happen for me because of my circumstances. I came from a dysfunctional family and this is happening. So my mother and father never went to university or they never, you know, propelled. So that means that I can't do it. And they started to, you know, to just become sucked in with what they're seeing around them. And that's why I really wanted to target them to show them there's a whole new world there. There's so many things out there that you can accomplish. Let's not limit yourself to what you're seeing right now. So that's where that really came from.
You're tapping into people's value system and helping to reshape in some instances, but also to fortify in other instances. And so you're going to be tackling a number of areas. You say here, how to increase your faith and belief, how to love yourself and find your worth and value, how to trust God, how to use your power to empower, and how to find purpose. These are some of the areas that you're going to be tackling with these young people. How are the sessions going to be rolled out, though? Because, you know, times are different.
Well, they're not quite something. They're more so like they would read the book and then we have like one session and then keep in contact, you know, to find out what's happening and so on. Because outside of everything that I'm doing, I also have a job, so I'm not able to do, you know, to that aspect. But so I just usually they do the book, and then we have one session, and then we go through. I keep in contact with their guidance counselors, see what's happening, and anytime that I can, you know, attend a parent meeting or any sessions that they have that they may extend an invitation, I am there to see what's happening to follow. And then the students also reach out to as well. They reach out to me via social media, and we keep in contact to see what's happening and where they're going.
It's so easy that, you know, this line alone applies to you, how to use your power to empower. That's exactly what you're doing. You've reached your purpose, you know your purpose, you understand your power, and so you're now using that to empower other young people. And as I've said, 14 to 18 is a turbulent time. That's where confusion for some can set in, but it's also the space where you could find your feet. I remember for me, it was at 16 years old, you know, and boys and girls develop differently, but at 16 years old, I had that awakening that said to me, dude, you're different, settle down. And I think that's the opportunity. Yeah, seriously, I'm being honest with you. And so for a lot of young men in particular, this is an important session to be in. And I don't want them to miss that chance.
No, definitely. This is hugely important, definitely.
So how as a parent today who lives in a space where you have those teenagers who are becoming a little bit difficult, how can they be a part of this program with you?
To be a part of this program, you can actually reach out to your guidance counselor, or most likely I probably would have been in contact with, or if I haven't as yet, you can always reach out to me or just come to me directly, because depending on, because all of this works with us being able to partner with organizations, because it's a transformational thing that statement that we're making here, and I need to be able to partner with other companies so that we can be able to really pour into the students like we would want to. So once the parent is interested in having their son or their daughter be a part of this program, they can reach out directly to the school, or they can reach out to me, and that's on Queen's Mindset on Instagram or on Facebook. And just have a conversation. I'm open to a conversation. I love talking to people. And then we can get started from there. If their school has not been one that has been selected for the next, for us to go out and actually go and share and start building with them as yet, they can talk to me directly, because maybe the student may just need some one-on-one time. And it can just be me mentoring them. You know, that's a part of what I do too as well. So that can definitely happen. But I really want to make a call here, Pearson, to those companies who may be watching, because I've sent out to several other organizations to have them come on board. One of the organizations that I am so excited, can't wait for them to respond, because I know they're going to say yes, to partner with them is Chofet. You know, we love Chofet here in Barbados. And this Christmas time, and I want to be able to give the gift of hope, just with the book and to already build them up and so on. And there are multiple other companies too as well that I have reached out to come on board. And I'm sure when they start to see what's happening, they would want to be a part of this, because not only are we going to be able to help our students here across the island, but we're going to be able to help our nation. Because when they have these values and these morals and different things instilled in them, they're going to go into workplaces and they're going to go on to do great things in this land and even aboard. So you want to be a part of that. So to me, that's something that I can't wait for the others to jump on board.
Well said. And I really hope many businesses join you on this journey as well. Queen's mindset. Yeah. Queen's mindset. Thought to me, why is it a queen's mindset, not a king's mindset or a prince's mindset? Why queen's mindset?
That's a good question. When God gave me that title, I was like, well, because how it happened, I was actually attending a convention at the time. And they had this, I can't remember the name of the speaker who was on, but they came and they shared some really powerful stuff that really, I don't know what it did, but it burned a fire in me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do this, because I was always the friend who would be encouraging others and, telling them what, things that they need to do to improve and so on. And then when I got that feeling in that moment, I just came up with it, started a video, immediately started an Instagram page, and Queen's Mindset was the first thing that came to mind. And I was like, oh, but it's only afterwards, because Queen's Mindset is the queen, your title to royalty. And because my passion and my purpose is about empowering women, that's where Queen's Mindset came from. But in that moment, I didn't understand what God was doing. I was just on fire to go and share, go and spread the word to really encourage someone. And that's where Queen's Mindset was really birthed.
Queen's Mindset, folks. You can find it on Instagram. And while you're there, please contact Kimisha. Kimisha can work it out with you. Business houses as well. She encourages your supporters as well. So if you've received a letter, please respond positively. And if you don't yet know how to, check it out on Instagram and find ways to DM Miss Kimisha. I don't know where I get Kimel from. But Queen's Mindset is what it's about. And certainly we want to encourage our young people to live their truth, to know their passion and their purpose, and to be their best selves. And that's what the journey is all about. So thank you, Kimisha King, again for joining us. And best of luck. Of course, reach out to us when you need some assistance, all right?
Yes, definitely. All right. Thank you so much, Vincent.
You're welcome. And you too. Thank you so much. Kimisha King, she is living her truth, and she wants you to live it with her as well. So we can all be truthful and live to be the best we are meant to be. We're taking that break right here. When we come back, we'll hear of Lucy. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're approaching 19 minutes now to go to 8 o'clock as we turn our attention in our next chapter to a book called Lucy, Ultimate Survivor. That book is written by Dr. Elizabeth Haywood. She's written a book about her own family. Dr. Haywood, good morning to you.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming through. I mean, the story alone riveted me when I read the back. Talk to me about who Lucy is or was and what's her relation to you.
Well, her relation to me, she's my great-great-great-grandmother. And she married someone that you in Barbados here will all know very well, Sam Lord. So that's my ancestry here in Barbados. And it is indeed, it's an amazing story. She lived through very turbulent times. This was the times of the Napoleonic War. She crossed the ocean, I don't know how many times. She gave birth at sea, which must have been absolutely terrifying. But the story started when she was a nice girl, an English girl from a wealthy family, and she met Sam Lord in Bath and fell in love with him. And he persuaded her to have a runaway marriage to him at the age of 22. And she came back here to Barbados with him, and things went downhill from there because he was not really a very nice person. At least he was a man of his times, and cruelty to women and domestic violence was not really considered terribly important in those days.
Because you say the book sheds a new perspective on the slave trade and domestic violence. Why do you term it that way?
Well, I think it's not so much a new perspective. It's looking at it with the benefit, I suppose, of hindsight and distance, and being able to see how the issues that are raised under Black Lives Matter, the issues that are raised with all the Me Too movement and the domestic violence stories that we hear at the moment, all of those issues actually have been around for years and years, and we're now living the results of them. So it's that kind of perspective. We can look at it with a bit of hindsight and really stand back and see how bad they are.
Now, she is your great-great-great-grandmother. How did you know the tale so that you could write it?
Well, I remember hearing, when I was a little girl, I used to hear amazing stories of my pirate ancestor who lured ships onto the rocks and he was a wicked man, and he had a castle in Barbados, and it sounded all so exotic and so wonderful. So I remember that very well. And then when I was, I think, 8 years old, my grandfather actually came to Barbados on a banana boat, literally a banana boat, a juiced banana boat, to try and unravel the truth and the fiction, if you like, from the story. And he found out that actually the stories about wrecking boats were not true, and he published all this in an article for the Barbados Museum, in actual fact, back in 1963. But he did indeed find that the stories about cruelty to Lucy were most probably true, and a few other things as well. So that was what I based the story on.
What kinds of emotions stirred in you when you began to relive those moments that your great-great-great-grandmother would have experienced?
Well, there were two aspects of this, and one is that I came up against lots of problems in writing Lucy in terms of, for example, why would Lucy have left her daughter behind in Barbados? And of course, there were historic reasons for that. She had absolutely no rights at all. Sam had all the rights over the children. She almost definitely knew she was pregnant again, and she didn't want her next child to be born in Barbados because she knew she could never, ever then take the child home with her. So she chose to leave one and go back to England. So there were lots of questions like that, and I had to try and think like somebody from 200 years ago and not somebody from today, with all the different mores that there are. So that was quite interesting. And I think there were just a number of different points which allowed me to really think about historic issues, and it taught me a lot about the history of the time, so history in the UK, but also in particular the history of Barbados.
What does it say to you, though, about your great-great-grandmother as a person and as a human being who showed tremendous strength? What do you know now about her that you perhaps couldn't imagine?
Yeah, I love Lucy. I think she's great. She's got lots of flaws. She's not perfect. None of the characters in this story are perfect. Neither are they, totally evil. And I'm thinking about Sam here. He was just a man of his times. But Lucy was a toughie. She was a very feisty character. I think she'd probably have been a member of Extinction Rebellion if she'd lived today, and she'd be sort of, gluing herself to motorways or something.
Yes.
But she was a great character, and I see some of myself in her. I see some of other people in the family in her. Basically, anything that you threw at Lucy, however many times she was knocked down, she got up again. She fought back. So it was not just about Sam, which is why I've got her as being quite a rebellious teenager, if you like. But also, later on, her father, quite unusually, left her half his money in his will. And she never actually received a penny of it, because her father died in debt, and her brother then inherited the estate, and she took him to court for failing to pay her half of what she should have actually got. So, I mean, again, that was a pretty unusual thing for a woman to do in those times.
Yes.
So this was a very strong-willed woman, and she outlived her entire family.
Wow, that says a lot indeed, and certainly it's a part of your blood now. The other generations of Haywoods, though, all of you, what do they think of your writing about their great-great-great-grandmother as well?
They're very excited about it. I mean, one of the reasons, the real reason I started writing this was partly because I loved the story anyway, but also because I felt that the younger generation of the family didn't really value the family history, didn't really pay much attention to it. It was there in the background. And this was such a strong story in itself. I mean, you could almost not make it up, that I thought it would actually interest them. And it has done. Not all of them yet have read it, but quite a few of them have. And my brothers and sisters all think that it's great. They've really enjoyed reading it.
This is so fantastic because it sheds a different view on Sam Lord's, his relations. I didn't know about Lucy. Now we do know. We have an opportunity to learn about Lucy in the book Lucy, the Ultimate Survivor by Elizabeth Haywood. Has the book already been published, and where can people get copies of Lucy, Ultimate Survivor?
It has already been published. It was published in the UK in April. And there are copies now in Barbados, and they're available from Day's Bookstore in Bridgetown. And I'll be doing a book signing on Friday morning in the bookstore. So I hope to see some of you there.
Yes, this is great. Friday morning at Day's Bookstore is where Dr. Elizabeth Haywood will be for the book Lucy, Ultimate Survivor. Come get a copy, come have it autographed in person, engage with the great-great-great-granddaughter of Lucy herself, who will no doubt regale you with other stories as well that perhaps are not in the book, but certainly we get a chance to know and meet face-to-face with the author of the book Lucy, Ultimate Survivor. Dr. Elizabeth Haywood, thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope that many people come to Day's Bookstore on Friday. Do you have any idea of the time that you'll be there?
From about 10 o'clock.
About 10 o'clock thereafter. All right, that's fantastic. Get a copy of it, folks. Great reading, and a great reason for us to have it as a part of our reading collection too. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
And thank you very much indeed.
You're very welcome. The book is called Lucy, Ultimate Survivor. It's at Day's Bookstore. Dr. Elizabeth Haywood will be there on Friday from 10 in the morning. While you come purchase your copy, she will autograph it for you, and you'll get to meet her. She is the great-great-great-granddaughter of Lucy, who was married to Sam Lords, that pirate, whose story we already know and know so well. So get to meet one of them on Friday. We're going to take that break right here. When we come back, we will meet Dr. the Most Honorable Anthony Carter. 9 minutes now to go to 8 o'clock. I'm smiling because it gives me an opportunity to connect with one of my favorite people on this island, Dr. the Most Honorable Anthony Carter, otherwise known as Mighty Gabby. Good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
I am feeling great.
That is...
about the
yeah.
COVID-19. I am feeling great, my brother.
That is so good to hear. So many prayers went up for you.
I just want to thank my friend, Dr. Forge Ford. He never left me one moment, not even one. So
that tells you of our medical system.
You know, they did a really fantastic job.
That is great to hear. Well, you've done a fantastic job throughout your life as well. I mean, everything you've written so far is poetry in itself. You know, one of the greatest pieces of poetry for me in any of your songs is "Well Done." Life is a stage we live on. Act 1, Act 2. I think that just the way you've been able to craft that song alone speaks volume to my spirit. And I know a lot of people feel the same way about all of your writings. So much so that you've now created your own, put out your own book of poetry called Life Anthonyology. I had to break that down slowly because it's quite a tongue twister.
Life, the Anthonyology.
Yes.
I deliberately did that because when people write stuff like this, they always say an anthology.
Yes.
So I just wanted to put in my own name and say Anthonyology.
Wow.
So that's why I wrote it and named it the Anthonyology.
Anthonyology. Because the last time we were...
I have 34 more volumes to come.
Really? Wow. I know the last time you and I connected was on your birthday, and then you mentioned to us that shortly you will be releasing the book of poetry. So how many poems are in this first edition of Life Anthonyology?
60. So each volume will have a minimum of 60 poems. And, you know, that's why I said at least 35 books will be coming, not might be, but will be coming. I want to thank my friend, Randall Callender and his wife Margot. They have been fantastic. My friend Vera Harris, who would always admit any typos or any grammatical, any kind of errors. There, my friend Greg in New York, they would correct it. Or Mr. Adams, who happened to be my former teacher, by the way.
Yes.
Who has been near my friend all these years. And I want to thank people like Elliot Belgrave, who encouraged me all the time to write, and you know, Piper, Bomba, you know, all the guys in the beach cabinet. We have a little chat on the beach cabinet, and the guys in the big chat.
Yes.
You know, all these people. I can't name all of them, but they all kept encouraging me, and you know, like John Marshall, Saddam's wife. You know, she would say, "Gabby, you know, how could you write all this in 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever?" I would say, I have no idea. I wake up and the ideas will come and I will go and I will just write.
You know, that makes you...
I'm going
to come to that, yeah, I know, because it makes you very special, Gabby. And so before it blanks out on you, come on, read it for us.
Yes, this one is called Clary Grandchild. When she started recording, they say she couldn't sing. She only getting great success because she brown skin. We have seen her kind before. We know the score. A couple of hits, exposure hits, and she out through the door. On the night she presented me with the Living Legend Award, I warned those present and all those absent she'll play a special part. That this girl Rihanna was never going to be a flash in the pan. She was a horse of a different nature. Who Gabby think he is? He is God or something, so. But even if she got more success, how the hell he would know? And to be size, we got singers about here that better than she. Tamar Marshall, Ruth Palmer, Rosie Hunt, all better than Riri. Riri. Spell it how you like. They couldn't see the fire, the drive, the ambition, the focus, the attention that existed in Clary Granddaughter. The wicked paparazzi start following she. Everywhere she went, if she spit, you better believe it, them could smell the scent. So if she went into a club, them cameras clicking. If she visit a friend, pictures can't end, them out there malicious in. Meanwhile, she, this granddaughter of Clary, recording and recording. The more they click, the gimmick, the trick, hit after hit, I mean. Soon she outselling Whitney. Yes, that famous singer. Beyonce, day after day. Clary girl, child, grandchild, Rihanna. We just call she Robin. She does answer too. She has remained as down to earth as an eagle who never flew. But fly she did fly, way up in the sky, the heights never seen before. Helping, helping, never yelping. Generosity lives at her door. Every single thing she achieved, the jealous has something negative to say. She makes no reply, doesn't bat an eye. She just puts more success on display. Barbados became a republic. And well, what do you know? At a ceremony in Bridgetown City, she was declared a national hero. The jellos start new barking, each one behaving like a clown. Where them declare she a hero in this town? She ain't contribute like Gabby or even RPB. As far as we concerned, them overdoing it with she, from the Catholic priests, start to behave like beasts. But I want all of them to know, Clary grandchild has traveled many a mile and deserves to be a national hero.
All right, Gabby, wow. I'm stunned for words simply because you just created that and you've done it in honor of our latest national hero.
I wrote it from 6:37 to 7:17 this morning.
Wow, that is awesome, the work that you do. So this book of poetry, because we're almost out of time, where can we get copies of it? I know it's just recently launched. Is it available in almost every bookstore around the island?
First of all, you can get it from Wendell Calendar, and you can also get it online at Amazon.com.
Right.
And we have a lot of books right now. I have to say that
good.
Our launching, we ran out of books, but we have a new order
coming.
That's already on its way. So maybe in a week or I don't know how many days. I don't know these things. We might be able to get our new set of books in, but you can get it definitely on Amazon.com.
Well, I like it. I like it a lot, Gabbert. My friend, Dr. the Most Honorable Anthony Gabby Carter, thank you so much for joining us. I wish you only the very best, folks. It's called The Anthonyology Life Volume. It's just volume 1. It's on paperback, and of course, you know, volumes up to 36 will be coming shortly from Gabby as well. So look out for that and more.
This poem I just wrote in tribute to Rihanna.
Yes.
That puts me 148 poems away from 2,000.
All right.
And it took me from from August the 30th, 2017 to this morning to get there.
Brilliant.
So I'm hoping at least by next year, sometime before August the 30th. It's August the 30th and not 17th, August the 30th, that I will be able to achieve the objective of having written 2,000 poems. Of course, that's nothing to do with the 15 songs.
All right. Gab's going to leave it right there, but thank you so much. I wish folks the best. I really want to wish you the best as well and continued good health. And I want to encourage folks to go on to Amazon and get your copy of the book, The Anthonyology by Mighty Gabby. It's really fantastic. Great poetry indeed, and a life in poetry. Thank you so much, Gabbert. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you.
We are over time, but we had to go over time simply because he is just absolutely amazing. He is the most honorable. And so I want to thank you for joining us this morning as well. Thanks to my producer, Alicia Asgrant, our technical director in Rowell Ford, our sound engineer, and Michael Sobers at Master Control, Tamisha Green. I'm Pearson Boyne. Looking forward to see you again tomorrow. Take care.
Barbados, get up. Good morning.